In 1943, World War II enters a decisive phase, and the Eastern Front stands on the brink of transformation. Here, in the heart of the Soviet Union, lies a city that will change the course of history, Kursk. After the crushing defeat at Stalingrad, Hitler was searching for a victory that would restore the prestige of his army. A massive military salient appearing as a perfect opportunity for a decisive German strike. The plan was named Operation Citadel, the last major German offensive in the East. The German generals devised the attack plan with extreme care. Germany committed its most advanced tanks and elite forces. Everything was set for a decisive battle. Germans massed the latest models of Tiger and Panther tanks. The tanks and elite forces carve their way forward toward Kursk.
Schnellster! Jawohl!
But on the other side, the Soviets knew. Thanks to intelligence, especially information coming from spies and code breaking, the Soviets knew the timing and approximate location of the attack. The commanders of the Soviet army convened urgently. Instead of a preemptive attack, Stalin made a decisive decision: deep defense, then a counteroffensive. A race against time began to turn Kursk into a fortress. The Red Army constructed 8 successive defensive lines, planted more than 500,000 mines, and fortified the ground with trenches and anti-tank guns. The Soviets massed 1,200 T-34 tanks for the battle. Kursk was turning into a massive trap. A race against time began to turn Kursk into a fortress. More than 500,000 mines, waiting for the tanks. The air is heavy, and silence louder than any sound. The soldiers' faces are rigid, but beneath them, nerves are stretched to the limit. Every passing second brings them closer to a point of no return. Fingers hover over triggers, breaths measured. The time of the attack draws near, and with it, tension reaches its peak. At dawn on the 5th of July, German artillery opened fire along the front. What was intended to be a surprise strike soon turned into an unexpected development. Soviet forces struck first. As a result, the German command lost the element of surprise. Even so, German forces continued their advance, marking the beginning of one of the largest and fiercest battles of the Second World War. Despite the fierce Soviet bombardment, German tanks pressed forward, followed by their soldiers, pushing through the obstacles and fire in a relentless drive to advance the front.
Flanks! It's getting closer!
In the north, the advance was slow and costly. In the south, German forces achieved deeper gains. Yet the reality remained the same. Every kilometer was paid for in blood and iron. On July 12th, the Soviet High Command made a decisive decision to shift from defense to offense, a turning point in the course of the battle, as Joseph Stalin gave the long-awaited order: the attack begins now. The Battle of Prokhorovka, where more than 1,200 tanks surged forward into a cramped killing ground, steel colliding with steel in one of the fiercest tank battles in history. Close quarters combat, tanks colliding, guns firing at point-blank range, and total chaos consuming the battlefield. Soviet T-34 tanks surged forward in massive numbers to disrupt the superiority of the heavy German tanks. Despite heavy Soviet losses, the German offensive was brought to a complete halt. After the failure of Operation Citadel, the Soviets launched two massive offensives that shifted the balance of the war. Operation Kutuzov in the north, and Operation Commander Rumyantsev in the south. Within weeks, the Red Army recaptured strategic cities, and German forces were forced to retreat. From that moment on, any German ability to launch a major offensive in the east was finished. From here forward, Germany entered a state of permanent defense. Approximate losses. Germany, more than 200,000 soldiers and thousands of tanks and aircraft. The Soviet Union, greater human losses, but with the capacity to replace and endure. Decisive outcomes. The failure of the last major German offensive on the Eastern Front. Clear Soviet industrial and military superiority, and the beginning of the road to Berlin. The Battle of Kursk was not just numbers and tanks, it was the moment history decided the tide had turned. From the plains of Kursk, the countdown to the end of Nazi Germany began. A battle that proved patience, planning, and the willingness to sacrifice can defeat the most powerful war machine the world has ever known.